Welcome back to the channel. We're here in beautiful Southern California. Not a lot of sun here today, but there's a lot of shine going on here with this ADX. This is the new compact premium SUV from Acura. This is the gateway to the Acura SUV brand. And as the new gateway to the Acura brand, it doesn't just borrow inspiration from that all-new, highly successful Integra. It even shares a variant of that 1.5-liter turbo in that Integra. We'll take it for a ride today throughout these great roads here in Southern California and see just how that architecture stands up in an entry-level SUV. But before we hit the road, let's take a look at a couple of things that I think you're gonna really like about this ADX because, let's face it, I do. First off is these 19-inch blacked out wheels that come on the A-Spec. This really impressive front end. This grill's a little bit big for this car, but I think it might be just a thing that sets it off. And then we'll make our way around to the rear and we'll talk about these dual exhaust tips in here. And it is all-wheel drive. This thing, we have a lot to cover and a very short time to cover it. But let's go around, take a look at it, and then we'll hit the road and see what it drives like out here on these open roads. You're getting an exclusive first look at the all-new Acura ADX, one of the first real-world test drives outside the automaker's PR spin. If you're loving this kind of honest, no-nonsense car content, make sure to smash that like button and subscribe for real-world reviews and first impressions on the hottest new vehicles. First thoughts, there's a really nice setup here on the dashboard. It looks a little better in person than it even did on the pictures. Steering wheel gives me a nice sporty look to it, like these paddle shifters. We'll see with this CVT transmission if these paddle shifters are any good or not though. Infotainment system is right here where I can see it. It's not huge, but it's big enough. I think automakers ought to be going back to this type of a setup anyway. I don't have to look down for it. Perfect sight line. Should have done this beforehand, but the steering wheel does tilt telescopic in and out, make for a really comfortable drive. There was some talk about the comfortability of these seats. We're going to be in here for about 2 hours a day. Let's figure out just how comfortable these seats are. Now let's check out this Bang & Olufsen audio system. I'm pretty bass heavy, so let's go down here and let's get some surround sound going. Back to our maps. Pretty good so far. For you audiophiles, this may not be your music selection, but this Bang & Olufsen system sounds like it is programmed and featured for this car specifically. Sounds pretty good in here. I may have put a little bit too much bass in here, but for those of you who like bass, it's here. All of our controls are laid out really nicely here on the steering wheel controls. We can speak to the ADX and make the commands. Our cruise control settings are here. This is my distance control for this radar dynamic cruise control, and this is my lane keeper. It is actually keeping this ADX in its lane. It's moving a little bit, but it's doing a pretty good job. Also, you have a heated steering wheel and a nice cool A-Spec badge right here on the bottom. Auto dimming headlights, fog lights, and rain sensing windshield wipers. So far, the ADX is not really showing its size. The ride quality here is smooth. I'm getting a little more wind noise than I think I probably expected, but I must remind myself that this is a compact entry-level SUV for Acura, and maybe not quite as much sound dampening as we found in the ZDX and maybe the MDX. But when we're talking about a vehicle that starts in the $30,000 price range with say $40,000 as its top of the line in this A-Spec with the tech package, this is about what I would expect. We're only about 10 minutes into the drive, but I do expect good things from this ADX today. I will make one note, that CVT transmission wasn't very impressive to me on that acceleration a moment ago, but I'm still going to keep hope alive. As you can see, the acceleration seems a bit lumbering, but in the sport mode it does seem to pick up a little better than we had in individual mode. Still not anything that's gonna snap our necks. Now that we're on the second leg of the drive, I'm gonna pay more attention to just how supportive and comfortable these seats actually are. But so far, this ADX is a vehicle that I think any empty nester may even appreciate as much as a young professional. When we think about the price point starting in the 30s, topping out in the mid 40s with all the conceivable options you can get on here, the ride height, the visibility, and I also like the view of the front end here. This front end is a longer clip than a lot of the SUVs, which is a signature of the Acura brand, but it actually gives me a better sense of depth perception when I am parking. When you get my age, that's one of the things that starts to go first. You notice you pull up to a curb, or you pull up to a parking space, that's the part that you can't see. With the way that the hood line is designed and the visibility from the driver's seat, I like that. There was a time when car companies were doing the whole, you can't see the front, making you feel like you're in a spaceship. Well, at my age, you really want to see the front so that you can see exactly how close you are. So for that, I would say you empty nesters, that's something that you all may really appreciate. When I looked at the photos and videos of the interior here, I expected this to be a little more childish, a little more immature. But actually, now that I've been riding here for a while, even this two-tone gives me a feeling of upscale, near luxury. ADX seems like the perfect pairing for an entry-level compact SUV. It's just enough fun and sportiness here. I think that will attract some of the younger drivers, while at the same time being understated enough not to turn off the empty nesters and people maybe thinking about their last SUV. As the latest gateway to the Acura brand, the ADX doesn't just borrow inspiration from the new Integra. It shares its rigid global platform architecture, sporty chassis tuning, and a variant of the Integra's 1.5-liter turbocharged VTEC engine. That connection is immediately apparent once you get behind the wheel, where there's sharp handling and well-balanced ride reinforcement, Acura's performance DNA. At these low speeds, the steering assist actually works pretty well on this ADX. Now, I wouldn't put this to the test at any higher speeds, but as you can see here, it's actually anticipating the curve and it's actually doing the input for me. It's very little input by me. On this deep curve, I do have to hold the wheel, but it's actually anticipating which way the street is going, and it's starting to pull you into that. While some of you may find that to be a little bit aggressive, if you are distracted while you're driving for any reason, this will keep you honest and hopefully keep you safe and keep you in your lane. It's not any type of a semi-autonomous driving feature, but it does just add one extra step of security when you're going through roads like this. So while the ADX has all the makings of potentially being a sporty compact SUV, it's not quite there yet. But what we know is it has the bones and it has the good looks. If Acura were to make this in a Type S, this would be probably a great contender for a lot of the German and Korean sporty SUVs on the road. And during our press briefing, one of the things they told us was, with the addition of this ADX and the new ZDX last year, Acura has you covered from A to Z. But now we've seen how it drives and we've seen what it feels like on the road. Let's check out some of the practicality when it comes to storage capacity for those of you with small families. Let's try the kick feature. Hands-free opening. This cargo area, we have the 60/40 folding second row seats. This is something I think all SUVs should have, is a little underfloor storage to put things here that you will keep, that you don't necessarily use on a regular basis, but you don't want them rolling around in the cargo area. Also, a nice cargo cover, which I think all SUVs should have. And then this great feature, you walk away. No keys in my hand as I walk away. It knows to close and it closes on its own. Well, you can probably only go up to preteens in this second row. There's decent leg room back here. The addition of this panoramic roof adds a little light and makes it feel a little bit larger. You do have 2 USB charging ports, so no fighting over that. And the AC vents give you pretty good airflow. All in all, I'd have to say this ADX shows a lot of promise. It could use a little more punch, a little more power, but if I know Acura, it'll be coming down the pipe soon. If you're looking for an entry-level compact SUV with the luxury capabilities, this ADX should be on your list. Until next time, I'm Daryl Killian for the Auto Insider. If you haven't already done so, be sure to smash that like button and subscribe so you don't miss any of our reviews as they come out.